We are one conversation away from a shift in perspective that can lead to a decision that can change our entire life. So let's have that conversation. Woo! I love that intro. I came up with that from the dome. Like, I always been like saying that in like my private calls. And I was like, you know what? When I actually start running a podcast or like consistently posting a podcast, that's going to be the intro. Because I'm a big believer in that. Like, listen, like I know you heard the intro, but were you listening? I love saying that too, because there's a big difference in hearing something and listening. Hearing is like allowing it to be present or float or just kind of like graze, right? But when you listen, it penetrates. When you listen, you digest it. When you listen, you absorb it. You get the difference? All right, I digress, but I'm just so passionate about this episode, about all the episodes that I post, but this one in particular, because ultimately what we're getting into is the fact that you can't overcome depression. You're like, oh my goodness, isn't it supposed to be like a inspirational podcast? Like, what do you mean I can't get over this depression? Am I cooked? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't get over depression, but you can get through it. So let's dive into that. People keep thinking like, right, like the idea of overcoming depression is like climbing this big mountain, right? You even hear it from a spiritual sense, right? Stop telling the mountain, or stop telling God how big your mountain is, but tell that mountain how big your God is, right? But what if, in terms of the conversation of depression, what if it's not a mountain that you have to climb, you know? What if it's not? What if depression is actually a valley, a deep, dark, slow, painful valley that you're supposed to walk through faithfully? Whew. Because you don't leap over grief. You don't sprint through sadness. You pass through it gently, slowly, one step at a time. This actually reminds me of a story that literally saved me in my most depressive season. It played a huge factor outside of Christ and therapy. Shifted my perspective. Me having that internal conversation shifted my perspective that led to decisions that changed my entire life. It's about the little boy and the horse. I'm not sure if you heard this story before. If this is your first time you hearing it, I'm glad it was here. I'm excited. So please, I'm going to try to say it as slowly, as intentionally, as powerfully as I possibly can. There's a story about a little boy and a horse. The little boy and the horse are in the woods. It's dark. It's painful. It's scary. There's a storm passing through, thunder, lightning. They can't see anything. The little boy is terrified. Representing us when we're in that dark season, when life is falling apart, we're losing control, we feel alone, we don't see a way out. And the little boy turns to the horse and says, I don't see a way through. And the horse responds and says, do you see your next step? The little boy says yes. And the horse says, just take that. That's to show that oftentimes when we're in that season where it's dark, we don't see a way out, but we always have our next step. And our next step looks different for everybody. For me, in some seasons, it was simply just surviving. And you have to be kind to yourself. If the only thing you did today or yesterday or the last couple days or weeks is just survive. But the story doesn't end here. The story goes on to say that the little boy scrounges up the courage, the strength to take his next step. And unbeknownst to the little boy, that very first step he took was in fact a secret passageway that revealed itself for him to get out of his immediate circumstances. That also goes to show the little boy would have never gotten out of his current circumstance if he never scrounged up that courage to take his very first step. I feel like I'm preaching. This is a lot of what the one-on-one calls kind of feel like. And I love the fact that I'm able to kind of add more free value for whoever's listening to this in this very moment. In your ear, I'm like speaking life to you. Whether you're visually watching on YouTube or on the podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever platform you're listening to, the fact that you're here right now, receiving, you can heal through listening. It's a piece of the pie, not the whole pie. And I'll get into that shortly. But the little boy, right, gets out of the secret passageway because he scrounged up that courage to take his very first step. I want to say this to you. You don't know when that breakthrough That passageway, that way out is going to reveal itself, but you won't find out if you don't take those proper steps. For the little boy, it was his first step. For you, it might be your second, third, maybe your first, maybe your 10th or 100th. As you take each step, it becomes easier. And time after time, step after step, strength that you gain after strength that you gain, eventually your breakthrough will reveal itself. And you look back and you will be astonished as to how far you get. Because of then something happens. You no longer are looking for a way out, nor are you looking for the passageway. You actually fall in love with the journey. And that's what they mean by the person who falls in love with the journey goes further than the person who falls in love with the destination. You get hung up on finding this trap door, this breakthrough, this magic palace when it comes to healing. You won't make it that far because, newsflash, there is no outcome or magical destination when it comes to healing. So you might as well fall in love with the journey of it. Anyways, honestly, we can end the episode here when it comes to being able to realize that this battle, this fight of a good fight that you're fighting in, of depression, of sadness, that you're feeling, that you are not in, that it's not stuck in you. You aren't depressed. You are simply feeling depressed, and it is passing through. That season is temporary. It's a storm. You are not the storm. You're simply a person that's experiencing it and feeling the rain. And the moment you can tell yourself that story and believe it, that this depressive season, storm, feeling is passing through, and that above all these clouds, these terrifying, painful, intense clouds, the sun is still shining, it gives you hope. Real hope, not delusional hope. Real hope about a reality and a destination and a future journey that you will travel to. They say there are two types of people in this world when it comes to working through depressive seasons. A buffalo type of person and a cow type of person. I'm not sure if you heard of this before, but actually one of my clients shared this perspective with me a few weeks ago, and it rocked my world. I love sharing new things that just add to the shift in perspective that leads to future shift in decisions that change my entire life. Constantly shifting and changing my life for the better. And I hope I could do the same for you. So listen to this. They say when a thunderstorm is passing, right, coming towards a valley, and if there's a buffalo and a cow sitting next to each other, the buffalo goes towards the storm, the cow goes away from it. The cow's philosophy is, I can outrun this storm, let me avoid it. The buffalo's philosophy and thought process is, I'm going to go through this storm because it's coming anyways, and the fastest way to go through it and get it over with is walking through that storm. And ultimately, inevitably, for the cow, as it continues to try to dodge and avoid this storm, the storm catches up. And as the cow continues to try to evade the storm's experience, it actually ends up prolonging the overall experience, because as the cow is trying to travel away from the storm is slowly passing by, and the cow isn't fast enough. So if the cow simply just either stayed where it was at, allowed it to pass through, or went towards it, it would have had a better experience. But instead, a lot of us treat our tough seasons, our trials and tribulations, like cows. Let's be honest. We end up trying to avoid it, trying to duck it, trying to dodge it, trying to evade it. And then we end up making things worse. They say if you do the harder things in life, life becomes easier. But if you do the easier things in life, life becomes hard. And that's exactly the best way I can articulate these two analogies, because the harder thing is being the buffalo, going towards the storm head on, knowing that it's going to happen either way, so let me just be in the forefront of it, versus the easier thing to do is to be the cow, trying to dodge and avoid it. And it might be easier at first. You don't feel the storm initially, right? Things seem kind of clear still as you're still trying to stay away from it. But eventually things change down the road, and it becomes harder and longer and more intense. So I want to remind you this, in this season that you're experiencing, you're not alone. You are not alone. And in Psalm 23 verse 4, it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. And that reminds us that God is always with us. No matter how dark, how gloomy, how hopeless it may feel, God is close to the brokenhearted. And he mends and heals those who are crushed in spirit. You're not alone in this. And don't allow your broken heart, don't allow your sad heart, don't allow your just sad story, negative, pessimistic spiraling to tell you otherwise, because you're not alone. You aren't. So I want you to understand that depression isn't sadness. There also is a neurochemical imbalance that occurs in a lot of cases where you end up having lower serotonin, lower dopamine, and often it's a response to a chronic, stressful loss or traumatic season or experience. So understand there are other factors and components that might be playing and weighing down your experience when it comes to being in those seasons. Not making excuses, but letting you know, if you know what you're dealing with from a chemical, neurological, from a situational, from an awareness level, it gives you more of an idea as to what you're combating and a better fighting chance to work through it, because you're going to make it through. And if you don't believe it, I'm telling you right now, I'm letting you know as a person that once was in your very shoes, I don't know what you're dealing with. That I know is true. But I do know what you're experiencing when it comes to emotions. I've been alone before. I felt lonely. I felt sad, depressed, felt like I was alone, felt like tomorrow was not worth it. What's the point? I might as well just no longer move forward, give up in this fight. I've been there. I've been there. And let me be an example. If you haven't found one yet, or if you're looking for more, let me be literally a vocal example, a visual example, if you're watching me, of what it looks like to be on the other side of that valley that you're either walking through or questioning or second thinking, self-doubting whether or not you should walk forward towards. Because that's what it looks like on the other side. A big smile. If you're not watching me, if you're just listening, I'm smiling right now, letting you know it's worth it. There is light at the other side of that tunnel. You will not only find yourself, you'll find your purpose. Because pain always has purpose. And pain without purpose is punishment. And I'm letting you know, if you haven't heard me say this before, I'll say it right now. Our Heavenly Father is not cruel. So there's a reason why you're going through this season. And you may not understand. Oftentimes we aren't supposed to understand. Because God's ways are above our ways, higher than our thoughts, right? Higher than the heavens are from the earth. We're not supposed to immediately always know the bigger plan, but we are supposed to trust the author of that plan. Trust the artist of that bigger picture that we aren't often always able to see, right? Trust the narrator of the story that we are in. Woo, my goodness, I know you hear me, but are you listening? I'm just here to speak life to you and let you know that depression isn't a lack of faith. It's not weakness. It's real. There's a neurological condition associated with it, and you don't have to guilt yourself out of it or beat yourself up, because there's a big difference between holding yourself accountable and beating yourself up. Hold yourself accountable and guide your way through it, and lean on God along the way, because you will overcome it. You will get through it. Don't rush, because there's purpose in it. Be intentional in this season. And I promise you, you'll make it through. And like I said before, but here's the scripture, Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalm 34, verse 18. Reminding you in this season where you might feel alone, God is close. He's right next to you. He's got his arm wrapped around you, wrapped around your heart, and wrapped around all of you. Healing you, refining you, redeeming you. You're not alone. So hopefully this was helpful. This was like almost like a sermon type of just deep message. If you're watching me on YouTube, go to the description section. I do have healing resources to help you heal. It includes a free training video on how to let go of the 5 factors too, as well as 7-day free trial to the healing community. Or if you want to work with me one-on-one, where there's the 4-week healing program, or just a simple 1 30-minute session or hour session, I have all those resources available for you. Link is in the description, or find me on the social media platform and literally message me the word heal or help, and I'll send you those resources to help you out. All right. Anyways, by the way, social media platform handles are Peace of Deece. PEACEOFDEACE. So Peace of Deece. Thank you for listening to the Pieces to Peace podcast. Love you from the bottom of my heart. And until next time, peace from Deece.